Hello
Hello.
everyone. Hi Etrit, good to see you.
Hi,
We've been
Kristiana.
uh, we've been trying to meet up and to organize this meeting for a long time, but I'm finally happy we're doing it.
Yeah.
Um, and where do I find you, Etrit? How are you? Where are you now?
Well, my feet touch ground in Istanbul, not
Okay.
very far away from the sea, actually, and it's
Oh,
a beautiful, cold but sunny day. So,
oh, that's great. I'm here in Brussels. I'm in my actually work building. I'm in Mundo Madu. It's a great building full of NGOs that it's like an ecosystem working together.
nice.
And I actually found, we met a few months ago. I found out about you through our mutual friend Sarah, who was so
Yeah.
kind to introduce us to each other. And she said, "You should meet Etrit. You have so much in common with her." And I just want to ask, who are you and what brings you to systems change? How did your path find this
Mm,
piece of work? Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I really love the second part of the. I have a problem with the question, who am I?
Uh huh.
Because I feel like it brings me into the whole existential crisis thing. Oh my god, who am I? Who am I supposed to
Yeah.
be? How do
Yeah.
you answer that question? uh, and what really helps is, so where do you come from? Like, what are you
Mm,
like oh, but coming from, in the sense, not necessarily geographically, as much as what places, in terms of experience, like, what places have you been, what have you been through, that
mm,
have made you who you are.
mm-hmm.
And so, hearing your question, I think I'll aikido that
Okay.
into what I have been up to. And yeah, I can notice the, like, when I look back, I can see the points that have
Mm-hmm.
made me who I am today, and and that have brought me to interest in systems, and like, um completely fully appreciating the complexity of systems in which we live. And I think it has to do with the fact that I've always been fascinated in history, but I studied psychology and political science. So I've had this interest in who we are as humans. And for a long time, it was simply an academic interest, until I got engaged with this community in Istanbul that got together in order to create a kindergarten. And by create, I mean, like, literally built from scratch. And it was people who didn't know each other. Everybody came from different backgrounds, but mostly people who have work ethic, but like coming from as different places as corporate, academics, and entrepreneurs. So the passion for building these things and wanting children to have alternative education, but not just our children, like each person's children. This is more like, can we create this space where children get to experience childhood differently? And like,
Mm,
again, like the emphasis of not just simply my child seems very important to me, because it makes like shifts from the because if you just want to do things for your child, if you raise funding enough, or like maybe you have money, or maybe you have social capital or something, you can do it. But when it becomes like, well, it's not about single individuals, it's who we are together.
mm,
It brings in a very interesting mix. And of course, with all the good intentions, then when the real work starts, and that's when the disagreement starts.
mm,
And how do you, like, conflict is inevitable, but how do you repair,
mm,
how do you come back from
mm,
conflict?
mm,
All of these things became extremely fascinating to me, and that's what got me started in the road to facilitation, but also appreciating the fact that things are not as linear as they're usually taught in academia.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And now, where do you stand between, let's say, academia? Because I know you work in a university. So
Yeah.
where do you stand between formal and, let's say, non-formal education, or academia and more facilitation? How do you intertwine these two?
Uh, well, it's at this point it's almost a half and half,
Mm-hmm.
because I still teach, and it is very interesting to see. And I teach a class called Law and Ethics to engineering students, which is fascinating because they come from this linear way of thinking. They do really believe that if we have enough knowledge, if we
Mm-hmm.
only give it to the whole thing to the experts, they'll figure
Mm-hmm.
everything out and we'll be in a better place,
Mm.
which is very far away from the reality out there.
Mm.
Because the moment you bring, like, you unpack this thing, you end up talking about, well, what about how people feel, and the fact that, well, even with the yeah, with the virtual world that we have right now, we are all being guided by our emotions rather than by, yeah, we talk
Mm.
about the doom scrolling and stuff like that as if we don't have any will at all, as if we don't have
Mm.
any volition at all, when in
Mm.
fact, like, we are consciously choosing something over something else. So it's like the whole complicated thing of being a human being, that, like, it's not just about the head, it's not just about
Yeah.
the mind, it's like
Yes.
it's the whole human being, and not by themselves. I mean, um in the past 3 years I've been involved with something called the inner development goals, and uh, 2 years ago, I was at the conference, and one of the things that came very strongly through the conference was, because of people who attended from South Africa, there was this conversation about Ubuntu. I am
Mm.
because we are. So
Mm-hmm.
relationality. In my world, this is also called relationality, and uh, it's shifting the mindset from "I think, therefore I am," which is
Mm-hmm.
what, like, um, if you go to the university, this is the paradigm. It doesn't matter where in the world you go in the university,
Mm.
you'll be taught philosophy at some point, and you will be taught this, like, it's all in the thinking, and that's what make you a human being. I mean, even with
Yeah.
Socrates, an examined life is a life worth living. And
Yeah.
then you have, I am because we are, the whole Ubuntu
Mm.
logic. And,
Mm.
like, that you cannot be by yourself, like, who you are will depend on the relationships that you have with people around you.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and it's like this Cartesian from Descartes, right? He's the one. I think that this type of thinking has been so ingrained in our society that it's like we have forgotten all these other ways of being. I was reading an article last night about this exactly getting together, like in a communal way to live together. Yeah, because I think we have lost the skills to be with one another. We have
yeah.
lost the way how to be with one another. So a lot of people are scared from communal projects, whether it's a kindergarten or living together. They think, oh, maybe it's better I do it by my own. But I think the challenges that we're met with today are becoming so much more complex and difficult that it's actually only if we work with each other that we can solve them. And about this, about the students, what I'm hearing is, um, what about all the people that are lived experts of their reality, right?
Mm.
Because an expert cannot come and tell you, or at least I don't think it's very sustainable that someone from outside comes and tell you how you should live your life, when in fact you are the expert of your own being. And then it's about having these diverse stakeholders coming together. And if you, what are the main challenges you meet in your students? Let's say, what do you see before and after your class of law and ethics?
Yeah. Yeah. So these people are 20 years old, and quite a few of them still live with their parents. Some of them live in dorms. Uh, and it makes a huge difference because it's like it's the beginning of exploring adulthood in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're barely above the legal age, it's like they're foraying into adulthood and taking responsibility. And it's surprising to hear how many of them, like, I loved what you said about the expert of the lived experience, and how many of them actually come from this generation where they have been overprotected by their parents, because that again seems to be something that, independently of where you live in the world, if you're part of the middle class somehow. Your parents were both working parents, and they tried to do the best for you, and that meant taking you to as many classes as possible, creating as many possibilities for you as possible. But it was their idea. It wasn't you taking the initiative and saying, this is what I want. Or like maybe
Mm-hmm.
it happened, but because I'm aware that I'm generalizing, but I want to point towards the fact that quite a few people actually don't have the autonomy um, that people before them had, of
Mm-hmm.
making their own mistakes. If you are almost like a package being taken from this course to that course to that course, because this is how you will become successful in life, then you didn't really have time to think for yourself, to judge.
Mm-hmm.
And the result of that is that you end up sort of repeating the truths that you have been taught without necessarily seeing whether they're true for you or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I love about my class is the fact where they realize that, oh my God, I'm repeating a truth that makes sense in my head, but doesn't really resonate with how I would choose to do that thing.
Mm.
So simply
Yeah.
though, where there is a discrepancy, that the rehearsed answer is leave it to the experts, but then in
Mm.
truth, oh, but who is the expert really?
Yeah.
So noticing that friction
Yeah.
makes yeah, yeah, I think it's one of the things that makes my work worth doing, basically.
Yeah, and who is the expert of my own life? Like,
Mm.
who else but me? And yeah, having asked that question. But of course, I think these are very privileged children, probably, for the fact that they could be in higher education, etc.
Yes,
And
yes.
and yeah, I'm really wondering, how do we reach in this world where these skills are becoming more and more important, like critical thinking, thinking for yourself, taking ownership of your life. How do we reach those that are less fortunate and are not able to go to academia? I'm just wondering.
Which, to a certain extent, makes me think there's true hardship in
Mm-hmm.
uh, in having to figure stuff out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I do think where our resourcefulness lies, that's what also makes people like. I'm sure if you take somebody like Turkey, apparently, I don't know the exact statistic, but apparently Turkey is one of the best countries in the world when it comes to recycling.
Mm.
And the reason for that has to do, and I remember reading about this in an academic paper on anthropology and urban politics
Mm-hmm.
years ago, has to do with the fact that actually there's a whole business of children who should be in school, but they're not, and they are in charge of separating trash. And they do
Mm.
it like from the point where, like, when I put my trash in the bin, within a few hours, there will be some young person who will be separating. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like, there are people who take away paper and paper like stuff, and there are people who take away the metal like stuff, and then in between. And like, those children, they have very very harsh lives, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that if you ask the correct question, you'll notice that they have way more critical thinking than
Mm-hmm.
somebody who has a very protected so when we say
Mm.
how do we reach those children, yeah,
Yeah,
reach them and do what with them?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
because life is already a teaching.
yes, and I want to stress, I cannot stress enough that that's like the stigma that goes with doing that kind of work, the kind of discrimination that they are subjected to, the like
Mm.
uh the lack, like the humiliation that sometimes they face because they do that kind of work, because that kind of work is not appreciated, the fact
Mm.
that they are actually cut off from lots of possibilities in a time where we still believe in social mobility.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
like, this is not an either or
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. I
uh
actually, it's
yeah,
a yes
sorry.
and. Yeah. And I actually met someone from Barcelona. They had a company that cares for these people who are doing this type of recycling, because then they see this type of job as a social service, because what they're doing is a service to our, which is
It is.
completely unseen. In Bulgaria as well, there's a big
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just because people are poor and then they do the recycling like this, and but the labor of these people is not seen and not valued. So that's an interesting one. Maybe I
Yeah.
should have a conversation with that lady as well. But in terms of social change or societal change, let's say,
Yeah.
what do you hope you see in the world? What would you like to see more of? What are your aspirations?
All right. Um,
If you could
yeah.
wish for one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that um, being part of, well, by this point, of several collectives who are non-hierarchical and are um, self-organized, which basically
Mm-hmm.
means the leader is anyone who actually has the courage to say, I think we should do things this way, and if a couple of people agree, let's start, not because I
Mm-hmm.
have the right answer, but because I'm willing to try it out. So it's like a very different understanding of leadership from I have the answers and follow me. It's more like
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think this is worth doing, and who would like to join me and give it a try, knowing that we may fail. So, and in order to be this kind of person, there's lots of inner work that needs to happen. And it's not like, let me do the inner work and then I'll be the perfect leader. It's more like it's something that you realize. It's part of the hardship. It's part of the struggle that is the essence of this kind of thing. That's why when you were talking before about people who are hesitant to work together, whether it's to build something or even co-living or whatever, I fully understand them. It is indeed easier to do things by yourself. But if you do things by yourself, you're going to do same old, which in fact is not working.
Mm-hmm.
And you will be very much limited in what you can do. Will you have peace of mind? Possibly, but you also may have peace of mind and depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So, to what extent is peace of mind? I don't know. And then, on the other hand, is working with people who disagree with you, who for the sake of the world may, or for the sake of the work, may be willing to disregard other people they're working with. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
in that position, believing that the work is so important that, well, you'll sort yourself out. What, like, come on, you cannot just say my feelings are hurt and not do the work.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's the moment when you really need to slow down, because that is actually very important data telling you that, like, you need to change something. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the answer of how and what to change, but it's
Mm-hmm.
data in the sense of you have to take it seriously. It's not to be dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
Because this violence that we perpetuate towards others, and I'm using the word violence here very consciously, because we tend to think of violence as something physical, but we subjugate each other to violence also when we disregard each other. And
Mm-hmm.
we commit a similar kind of violence towards ourselves when we refuse to listen when we refuse to listen to our bodies, when we feel guilty for taking a rest, when we feel like we have to push through, when we have feel like we like the deadline is above everything else, and so refusing to adapt basically to what is going on.
I resonate so much with what you're saying. Yeah, it's the violence that we inflict upon ourselves, the violence that we inflict upon others, the violence that we inflict upon society by thinking that we know the right way and there's only one way, and then we should persevere because that's what the dominant system, I guess, or yeah, I don't know. And what do you think is the way out? Like, what in your life, assuming that that's something you not only preach, but you also embody, and I'm not saying it's easy, what helps you to stay in that path of, um, how do I say, adaptation or
Mm.
hearing, listening? Do you have anything that supports you?
uh yeah, this is this is going to sound very silly, but or possibly not, I don't know, but having these figuring out what nourishes me,
Mm-hmm.
and building my inner resources, I've noticed something that helps.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it is like starting my day with, well, with a question as simple as who do I want to be today, I've noticed makes a huge difference. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of like starting my day with telling my son to hurry up and like we're late, and that has been my motto for a very long time. Like I used to
Mm-hmm.
imagine myself as if I was a cartoon character, I would be the rabbit in Alice in Wonderland who has a watch and keeps saying I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. And I used to find that very funny until I noticed how harmful that is, because like, yeah, maybe I'm late, but if I like s- beating myself up, the whole self-flagellation thing, it doesn't make me on time either.
Mm-hmm.
So noticing these things of yeah, simply stopping to notice and realizing how do I want to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not talking about changing the world, right? I'm not talking about changing the whole schedule of the world and how the world does the mornings or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
um I've noticed that when I approach stuff like that as creative constraints,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
puts me in a more playful mood, and if I'm in a playful mood, I find myself being more resourceful. And it's almost like yeah, when I'm that way, then my son and my husband also respond in a similar way. Or
Mm-hmm.
if I have this capacity for myself, then if they are upset, I'm more able to accommodate their upsetness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that this works every day. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying that I've noticed that when I'm capable of doing it, it really
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, when you can switch. Yeah, I've noticed if I play a music song in the morning to dance or just to listen to it, it energizes me in a completely different way. And again, that's what I'm not saying it's easy at all. There are mornings I wake up and I'm like, shit, you know. And because the worst is that you know all these things and yet you cannot help yourself but be in that trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but inspiring. I like this. Who do I want to be today? I'll take it with me.
Yeah. Oh, and one trick to
Yeah.
that. Who do I want to be today? Uh, the options for answers, like, I want to be kind, I want to be thoughtful, I want to be creative. So it's not about like I want to be a teacher today sort of
Yeah.
answer. It's not about roles. It's about what frame of mind do I want to embody.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me in yoga there is this that you do this intention like, okay, what's my intention for today? Who do I want to be? And I usually go for I am peace, even though I can sometimes. But it's it's a mindset, like a switch.
Yeah, exactly. It's a reminder. And like a funny thing about intention setting in yoga, uh, a few years back, like I used to like to that question, my answer used to be, I want to finish everything that is on my to-do list today.
Mm,
And then
yeah.
all of a sudden, it's like, oh God, I'm doing this completely wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, because it's like Sisyphus, you know, the myth about Sisyphus that keeps on rolling.
Yeah,
And the thing
yeah,
about the to do is that it's never going to finish. So you're just in a rat race of like, oh, I need to,
yes,
I
yes, yes,
resonate so much with this. But it's
yeah,
an illusion. Like that, in the moment that I realize, okay, this is a trap and I can step out of it any moment because my
mm,
to do is an illusion and everything that I think matters is not what
mm,
matters. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That
yeah,
it's like we are living in a dream constructed by our worldview and in a mood. Let's say there's a mood of
mm,
our lives and you usually we're not aware because it's like the water that we're swimming in. What is the mood? How can we
yeah.
build this awareness? And what do you think on a societal level or more like on a group level, what can help to build that awareness or to resource more individuals, if you have any ideas from your life experience?
Right. Uh, so one thing that I've noticed is that if you are lucky enough to come together with two or three people, even if the group is like 30 people in total, but if there are two or three people who are able to embody this, to take your word, this peace, this inner peace,
Mm.
then that sort of it spreads. Like I
Mm.
remember hearing this old woman saying that good manners are like the flu; they can be catchy, actually.
Mm.
And something like that happens with the mood also. Like when you have people who show that they're fully present, and in their presence, it's not that they are completely zen and completely at peace and they're not agitated at all, but
Mm.
they're able to hold even their, like, to acknowledge their big emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Then that really helps other people also to settle themselves.
Mm.
So yeah, there's this wonderful woman that I've not met in person. I have to find out the name, and I hope, like, I don't know if you have a citations thing at the end of your podcast, but
Sure, I can put it, yeah.
um, she has this beautiful phrase that goes, "Settled bodies, settle bodies," and
Mm.
when you are, and I've experienced that firsthand. That's why it rings so true, because again, when you're in the presence of people who are calm, you may not be calm right away, but you notice that there's another way in which I can be here,
Mm. Yeah.
and becomes an invitation. And again, that's why, like, the whole intention setting in the morning makes sense, because you become more capable of noticing these invitations from other people
Mm-hmm.
to live true to your intention in the
Mm-hmm.
morning.
Mm. Yeah.
uh, so a community of
Beautiful.
people who manages to do something like that is like, I don't know, again, to quote McQueedley, it becomes an island of sanity.
Yeah. Yeah. Islands of coherence can lift entire systems out of chaos. You know that quote?
Yes, yes, Ilya Prigozhin, yes, Otto
Yeah.
Scharmer likes to
Yeah,
quote that
he
a lot.
uses
Yeah,
it a lot.
yeah,
Yeah, but what I love about this quote is that it comes from physics, I think, or
yeah.
from chemistry.
Chemistry,
That
chemistry, yeah.
chemistry, yeah, that he proves that on a chemistry level. But
Mhm.
because it's a fractal, so because we are part, because this is nature and we are nature, hence the same principles apply. So I find it fascinating that but it also reminds me of the butterfly effect, that one person who is happy or whatever is in this presencing mood then can influence people all the way on the other side of the world.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
the opposite is also true. I know the same quote, like the same metaphor, but the opposite way. Hurt people hurt people.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I've noticed if I go out of the house in an angry mood, the chances are it's my bubble that somehow
Mm.
influences, and I realize, yeah, I'm not contributing at this moment. I'm taking from my surroundings. Well, if I presence myself in the morning, if I do a meditation, my self care routine, then I can give I can be that presence in the world. So thank you for this reminder. Beautiful. Okay, well, we're almost at the end because I usually keep this one format short, like half an hour. Is there something final that you would like to share, or something that you're currently working on and you would like to be more supported in? I'd like to see this space as an opportunity for people to find resources or like-minded people. Can people reach out to you about something, or is there any resources you're missing? So, yeah,
Uh,
what's happening in your life right now?
yeah. Um, oh, yeah. One thing that I've been recently involved in is having more uh, case clinics, method that is
Mm.
used in Theory U.
Mhm.
And I have a group, and we've been doing Theory U. We are online. We're in
Mhm.
4 different countries,
Mhm.
but in very close time zones. We've been meeting regularly, uh, and yeah, uh, we want to do more case clinics. We are experimenting with different ways of doing case clinics. Also, like, trying to bring more of the embody element. Like the whole logic of the case clinic is that you go down the you, the
Mm-hmm.
methodology, you,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and uh, and yeah, and so yeah, reaching out more people to try out case clinics. That's one thing. Like, yeah, if you're somebody who have heard of it, have heard of theory, you never have heard of a case clinic, yeah, reach
That's
out, and
cool.
I'll let you know when the next thing is happening.
Yeah, if there's a link, I can add it at the end to the case
um,
clinic or to the Theory U methodology, maybe, so more people can learn about this.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. And I'm looking
Christian,
forward to finding ways that we can bring something into the world together because I'm really resonating with everything that you're saying.
thank you so much.
Thank you.